Good morning folks, and welcome to Down Dusty Roads. My name is Colin, and on my channel I document my rides mainly in the Great and Little Karoo, but also from further afield as time allows. To those that have watched any of my previous videos, perhaps liked and subscribed, made a comment, I say thank you. It really does help my new channel to gain some traction. To those that are watching for the first time, I hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, perhaps you too will hit that subscribe button. About today's ride, I think I've got something a little special for you today. Today's ride takes us from Oudtshoorn to Gamkaskloof and back. Gamkaskloof, otherwise known as the Hell, is accessed via a single in and out road which branches off from the northern side of the Swartberg Pass, which is where I am now. It is probably the most iconic gravel road in the country, and certainly has gained pilgrimage status amongst people that enjoy the back roads and travelling on gravel. There are four main reasons why I think this is a special ride. The first is the road itself and the challenges that it puts before you. The second is the isolation, both getting there as well as once you are there. The third is the magnificent scenery that you travel through in order to get there. And the final reason is the valley itself and its long and very interesting history. We're about to hit the turnoff now. So this takes us off the Swartberg Pass and in towards Gamkaskloof. I'm just going to stop briefly here. There's a can, I suppose, which commemorates the opening of this road. I'll just stop there briefly, show you. So this is actually called the Otto du Plessis Road. No one knows it as that. Everyone calls it the road to the Hell or the road to Gamkaskloof. Yeah, opened in 1962, but more of that later. This road leading into Gamkaskloof is a total of 37 kilometers long and includes 11 passes, most of which aren't officially named. The last pass, however, Elands Pass, is what this road is really about from a challenge point of view. As you start to go over the top, the valley opens up below, and suddenly you see the multitude of switchbacks, the massive drop-offs, unguarded drop-offs, and it really is something to experience once in a lifetime. So let's talk about Gamkaskloof. Gamkaskloof is a hybrid word combining the Khoisan word for lion, being Gamka, and the Afrikaans word for valley, being kloof. The valley is about 20 kilometers long and about 600 meters wide at its widest point. The first inhabitants of the valley were the nomadic Khoisan people who moved in and out of the valley as conditions allowed. And the first permanent settler was Peter Swanepoel, who moved into the valley in 1830. He was soon followed by a number of other families, the Jabez, the Nells, the Morsteads, amongst others. And the community grew over the next number of years to a maximum of about 160 people. Access to the valley nowadays, or reasonable access to the valley nowadays, is via this in and out road. More about that later. But in the early days, this road being completed in 1962, so in the early days, obviously this was not an option. And access to the valley was via 4 or 5 routes, of which 3 were significantly easier. Not easy by any means, but easier. And so became the sort of the major thoroughfares. The first was to the north via the Gamka River Gorge and on towards onto Prince Albert, some 35 kilometers away as the crow flies. The second was to the south over the Swartberg mountains and onto Karlstorp, roughly 20 kilometers away as the crow flies. And the third, further towards the eastern side of the valley, also was to the south and onto Karlstorp, which was about 25 kilometers away as the crow flies, but it came out on the other side of the mountain, Fontein, which has been included in one of my previous videos. The second option over the Swartberg mountains to the south and on towards Karlstorp included a massive near vertical section where height had to be gained via a multitude of switchbacks, such that the route became known as die leer, Afrikaans term for the ladder. So whichever route you chose, it meant significant hardship on foot over seriously rough terrain, taking a number of days. Oh, look at that. Oh, there we go. Isn't that beautiful? So whichever option you chose, you had to endure serious hardship over really tough terrain on foot, taking a number of days. And as such, for the next 130 years or so, the people of the valley, or kloovers as they like to call themselves, Afrikaans term for canyon dwellers, lived a very isolated life, surviving on subsistence farming and almost completely cut off from the outside world. It really was as if the outside world, there goes another one, reed buck, or 2, right here. Hopefully you can see that. Beautiful. In the mid and late 1950s, the community petitioned for the building of a road so as to make accessing in and out of the valley easier. And once the road had been approved in principle, 3 options were considered. The first option was following the Gamka River Gorge on towards Prince Albert. This option was eliminated because of 2 main reasons. The first being that the route was considered too difficult to build a road through, and the second being that there was planning already at an advanced stage to build a dam across the Gamka River, the wall of which would have been built across the narrow exit to the gorge, thereby eliminating obviously any potential for a road through it. The second option was to the west, which would have joined up with Swartberg, and this option was eliminated because the route that the road would have had to follow was through an area where the rock structure was of an incredibly hard type, So the third option, which was to the east to join up with the Swartberg Pass, that followed a route that whose rather where the rock structure was much softer, being sandstone and shale, and so that was the preferred option. So once a route had been decided upon, a budget of 30,000 rand was set aside, and construction began in 1959, late 1959. Construction was undertaken by Koos van Sail using a single bulldozer and just 12 labourers. Quite some undertaking. The road was completed in 1962 and was officially opened in August of that year, and was officially called the Otto du Plessis Road. However, no one really knows the road by that name, and certainly today people refer to it as the road to Gamkaskloof or the road to the hell. Ironically, the completion of the road was to be the start of the end of the community in the valley. Of course, with the road came easier access into and out of the valley, and as such the outside world trickled into the valley and the people in the valley trickled out. The main cause of this was that the children who had previously been educated in the valley were now able to attend schools in the surrounding towns. And here's a clips runner. There he goes down the mountain. Well, there are two of them down there. I don't know if you'll see it. I have to roll back a bit. There's one looking at me. The guy's gone already. I don't know if you can see that. Straight ahead there. I don't know, 30 yards away, 20 yards away, 20 meters away. Really magic. Really lovely. The major cause of this was that the kids who up until that point had been educated in the valley were able to attend schools in the surrounding towns. And once they had completed their education and had experienced the outside world, were not keen on returning permanently to the valley and a life of isolation and subsistence living. With the children not returning, as the parents inevitably got much older, they were forced to leave the valley to join their kids. And by 1990, the last of the permanent residents had left the valley. This also meant, of course, that over a period of time the farms were sold, and these were bought up by Cape Nature, who then undertook the restoration of the buildings, the houses and the school, etc., and also the conservation of the valley itself. By 1991, the last of the farms but one had been sold. The only remaining unsold farm was owned by Anneke Joubert, originally Morsted, who despite no longer living permanently in the valley, refused to sell her farm. And in 1998, she and her husband Ben, the son Pitt, and his wife Marinette moved permanently back into the valley, and they converted their farmstead into guest accommodation. They built a little restaurant and kiosk and some campsites. And to this day, Pitt and Marinette still live and operate in the valley. So you can stay overnight in cottages of theirs, or in the Cape Nature cottages as well, of course. The original homesteads were renovated by Cape Nature, and there go a couple more klipspringers. Fantastic, eh? Wow. So they are available for rent or for overnight accommodation. Yeah, so Pitt and Marinette are the only remaining full-time dwellers of the valley. There's another klipspringer, another two. Well folks, that's a very brief history of the Gamkaskloof and the road leading to it. I think anyone that's been here will agree with me when I say it really is a special spot, and I can really recommend to anyone with an adventurous spirit that it's truly worth your time and trouble to make the effort to come and visit this amazing place. I hope my video does it some justice, and perhaps by viewing the video it will encourage you to make the effort and come visit the spot. Down there is another nice switchback. And then it's a long upward climb to the next peak. It goes up the valley again, the side valley. Comes out with a number of switchbacks. The road switching backwards and forwards as far as I can see, right to the top there. Right to the very top of the mountain. There's some clip springs. See if I can go quietly towards them. Two standing in there, goes one. In the sunlight there. One still standing looking at us. There goes the second one. Let's have a look here. Yeah, in the bushes there. You see quite a few of them. The other thing that you see, of course, is baboon. Let's see how much water is here. Ah, very little. Got about 10 kilometers to go. The last probably 4 or 5 of which are down Elands Pass. And then we'll travel probably another 6 or 7 kilometers down the length of the valley to where Pitt and Marinette have their place. So there you can get an idea of the road. First of all, it stretches up here, of course, into that ravine a bit, and multiple switchbacks dropping down. And there you can see the first of the buildings. That's the start of the valley. Stretches all the way down, as I said, 20 kilometers long. Now, well, here we go then, folks, down Elands Pass. There you can see the zigzags, or some of them anyway. The drop-offs are pretty significant, especially in certain areas. And as you can see, there's nothing by way of a barrier. Have a look at that. Gives you an idea, the drop off. The road stretching up the valley into the distance there. If you suffer from vertigo, you don't really want to be coming up here or down here. You can see here why the switchbacks are a good place to overtake if you need to. Well, not overtake, sorry, to pass. Pretty impressive. This little concrete piece coming up now, it's got a bit of a rise, and if you come here in a vehicle, as you go up that rise, you're completely blind as to where the road is going. So this bit here, you've got to just trust that by going straight you're going to be okay. So here at the entrance to the valley is the first of the renovated cottages. I think we've got to take a picture here. So this would have been how the original building was. There we are. As I say, Pitt and Marinette are now running the show here. Okay, so just a quick look around at the guest place here. You can see they've got some cottages around the corner. They've got a campsite, and then you can go inside. It's a place inside. Sorry, ek gaan my goed nou kom haal daar wegvat. Okay, so as you can see, this is one of the original houses that has been renovated, very nicely renovated from an accommodation point of view. And that is where they stay. I don't know if you can see it through there, but there's another cottage back there. They used to have vineyards here. And as I say, this is where the little restaurant and kaya area where you can sit and relax under the trees, have something to eat, drink. It's very nice. I'm going to go further down the valley and go and show you the Gamka River, and then I'll be on my way again. So as you can see here, there are more cottages. And you can see these old houses. The Marais. They're in the Gamka River. So that's the Gamka River. So the river comes down the gorge this way, goes out, comes out to sort of Carletstorp way. Well, between Carletstorp and Ladysmith. And up this way is the Gamka Poort Dam. So it's got a big catchment area in the Great Karoo. And the waters from that dam are used for irrigation in the Gamka Valley outside Carletstorp. I'm going to quickly stop here, show you what these houses, how these houses were built. So these houses were all built with mud bricks. It's a pretty simple existence. This was the honeymoon house, as they called it. It was built for one of the Clovers and his new bride. So I guess a kitchen, a sort of sitting area or front room and a bedroom. Obviously being mud. If it rains, this will just deteriorate very quickly. Hence the roof over it. Oh, there's the graveyard. Slightly better light in the cottage now. All right, here we go. Back up the pass. There we go. What a ride. What a place. Pretty awe-inspiring. Steenbokkie. Beautiful. Sorry, not a steenbok. A klipspringer. There's another one. Beautiful. Yeah, the colors on those mountains. So folks, we're about to join the Swartberg Pass again. So this takes us to the end of the road to the Gamkaskloof. I'm going to end the video here. So yes, I'm going to head to the top of the pass, down into Oudtshoorn. But from a video point of view, this will be it. I hope you've enjoyed coming along for the ride, and I hope you'll join me next time when I once again travel down dusty roads.